the sales of all our products, our courses, our curricula, our consultancy, the profits from those sales provide free therapeutic sessions with horses for young people. So the idea really was to create something that was really sustainable.
Can you tell me about some of those courses, who they're for, kind of things can people learn?
Sure. So we have various levels of courses that we sell. So really we have something for everybody. If you're interested in equine assisted stuff, we do everything equine assisted. I think when I was young, the first time I saw a horse was at a city farm in the middle of inner city Sheffield, and it kind of opened a door for me, and I kind of thought, oh, that's a possibility. And then I did make it happen. But for these young people, like, they need to know it's actually a thing, and it is something that they can have and they can do. And I think if we can show them that, then they can build these lives that are so much more, big.
Yeah.
The thing is, we know that horses, they are inherently therapeutic. Like, we, as horse people, we know that spending time with them can change our lives. In our society, often people who need horses the most are those who can access them the least.
In today's Curious Equestrian episode, an extraordinary guest joins us, Lindsey Crosbie, the visionary founder of With Horses CIC. With Horses is not your typical business. It's a mission-driven community interest company that passionately believes in making horses accessible to all, not just a privileged few. Their purpose goes beyond profit, as they strive to create a world where horses become teachers, guides, and healers for everyone. With Horses offer transformative training courses and educational resources, providing a unique opportunity for people to heal, grow, and learn. The emphasis lies in fostering a harmonious partnership with horses rather than seeking dominance, as Lindsey beautifully explains.
Hi, Lindsey. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. It's really great to speak with you. So perhaps we can start with a little bit about yourself, and how did the idea for With Horses come about? And what was your inspiration for that?
Yeah, so I'm someone who, I come from a background where horses would have, I think, helped me a lot when I was younger, but they were just not accessible to me. I lived in a big city. I'm from a single parent family. We didn't have very much money, and it just was not something that was on my radar. And it was only later, really, that I became able to interact with horses through working with them. And I've worked in the equine assisted services industry for about 20 years now, running a charity for 10 of them. I've just seen the huge changes that it makes in the lives of particularly young people who've experienced trauma. But really, funding is always an issue. So for me, the idea behind setting up With Horses was that I wanted to create a charity that was self-funding. So With Horses CIC is a business that funds a charity. So the sales of all our products, our courses, our curricula, our consultancy, the profits from those sales provide free therapeutic sessions with horses for young people. So the idea really was to create something that was really sustainable. And so hopefully that's what we are going to be able to do, because we know that the equine industry it's not that diverse. We don't get lots of people from different backgrounds. And actually what I want to be able to do is open it up to more different types of people. We know there's a lot of money in the equine industry, and actually what I'm about is trying to redirect some of that money from the people that have a lot of it and who have a lot of access to horses to people who perhaps don't have as much access to horses but would really benefit from it. So yeah, that's where the idea came from for With Horses CIC.
Oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't realised that I hadn't made that connection between the courses funding the charity side of things. So could you share some examples of stories of time spent with horses that have positively impacted the lives of young people or anybody that's dealing with trauma, or the people that you help?
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. So the one that always sticks out for me is when I first started practicing as an equine assisted practitioner, that kind of going back more than 15 years ago when I first started running our charity as it was in Wales where we started out. One of my first clients was actually a little boy who had come from a home where there was a lot of domestic violence, and he was living in a refuge with his mum, and he'd come to work on the ground with a horse in an equine assisted learning session. And he was just like a shell of a little boy, really. He was really quiet. He didn't make any eye contact. He looked at the ground all the time, and his body language was really small. And I'll never forget the moment when he was working with my horse, Fabian, who at the time was 23 years old. So he was no spring chicken, but he was 16 hands, a thoroughbred. And this little boy was learning to lunge him, and he suddenly just stood up really tall and said in a big loud voice, "Walk on, Fabian." And it was just amazing to see that, the power of interacting with horses, bringing this little boy who'd kind of learned to be almost like a prey animal and be very small and very quiet, and suddenly for him to stand up and be so big and confident. And actually that was the start of, it was like a little seed that grew into him becoming a little boy who was very, very confident and very chatty, and went on to do lots of good things with his life, and actually became a volunteer when he was older and helped other kids through their sessions. So yeah, that for me is one of those moments where it was like, yes, this is why I do what I do.
And what is it you think that horses, like how is it that horses and any animal seems to be able to bring that out in people, whereas interactions with other people don't have the same effect?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that horses have this kind of, they have this calm, non-judgmental presence, and we know that they don't judge, they don't lie, they have no hidden agenda, so it's easy to trust them. So there's that piece. I also think that because horses are prey animals, there's this real affinity with people who suffer trauma, because we know that when people experience trauma, their brains get stuck into a kind of survival mode where they're either in fight, flight, or freeze, and they can't really get out of it. And horses kind of have that sense of, they are hypervigilant at times. They are able to move into that flight or that freeze state, or even fight sometimes. But the thing that's really amazing about horses is that they regulate well. So they spend most of their time in that really calm state of relaxed regulation in their herd. And then they go into these brief moments, where a plastic bag blows over the hedge and they all freak out and run away. And then they go back to being calm. So what horses can really teach us as people is how to regulate our emotions, because when we're calm and when we're centered, they want to be with us. But when our emotions are dysregulated and we're kind of all over the place, horses don't feel safe in our presence and they don't want to spend time with us. And so actually it almost teaches young people through experience to be able to be more calm and more level and more stable. And then I think the last piece of it is that horses are so big and so powerful that being able to direct their movement with just, sometimes things like your eye contact and your body language and your voice, it can just be a massively empowering experience. And I think it builds confidence just by virtue of that, really. And it's not like anything that they do in the rest of their lives. So it's just novel and taking them out of their normal environment and being able to just do something that's completely new and different. So even if they've had therapy before, this isn't like anything that they've ever done in the past. And that's why it works.
That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about, the way horses perhaps are good companions for introverts, because actually so much of it is body language rather than having to be articulate and confident in speaking. So yeah, that's interesting. And actually, and also again, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, when horses get into that flight mode, it's big, but it's very short lived. Yeah. And as soon as they're out of that danger, then they're kind of like, okay, I'm over it.
Yeah. And I think they teach us, if we hang around with them enough, we kind of get really good at being able to do that too. And it's a really amazing learning experience.
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell me, so let's switch over to some of the courses that you run that helps to fund that work. So can you tell me about some of those courses, who they're for, what kind of things can people learn?
Sure. So we have various levels of courses that we sell. So really we have something for everybody. If you're interested in equine assisted stuff, we do everything equine assisted. So the courses that we are most well known for are our accredited practitioner and instructor training courses. So we train equine assisted learning practitioners. We have an accredited course that is approved by the Institute of Outdoor Learning. So we train people to interact with horses on the ground to help people develop confidence, coping skills, and communication skills. So that's a professional course. And we also have a new course that we launched this year, which is a therapeutic riding instructor course. And that is actually a course that is accredited by UK Rural Skills. And it trains people to become riding instructors who help people with their overall well-being using mounted activities. So the equine assisted learning practitioner stuff is on the ground. The therapeutic riding instructor course is mounted. So we do those courses, but we also have a range of entry-level courses. So we have an introduction to equine assisted activities course that you can do completely online in your own time. We have an equine advocacy course that you can do online too. And that's about helping you to understand how horses work and a little bit about their behaviour and how to treat them as an equal and valued partner in all of your interactions. And then we also do monthly webinars. So they're proving to be quite popular, where people can come. We have a different topic every month. Sometimes it might be about setting up your own equine charity or applying for funding grants. It might be about safeguarding or trauma-informed practice. And we try to cover areas that people who work in the equine-assisted industry might be interested in as CPD. But we also do more sort of basic entry-level stuff where, it's just about finding out more about the capacities of horses in healing and teaching. So, yeah, we try to kind of cover all our bases and make sure there's a bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, so there's lots of stuff in there that I'd be really interested in exploring further with you. But a couple of the ones that stood out to me. So for any riding instructor or riding coach, there's a course that they can take that they can then help their clients. So what kind of things would they help their clients with? Because for me, I see a lot of people, we write about it in the magazine quite often, people struggling with confidence around horses, particularly as the demographic gets older. Then sometimes I think, it's hard to maintain confidence as you get older.
Yeah, so this is a course that it's kind of been my baby. I wrote it myself, and I'm a PATH certified therapeutic riding instructor. So I have experience in teaching people with disabilities that are physical, but I'm also a somatic trauma therapist. So I have experience of helping people to understand the effects of trauma on their body. So if you're a riding instructor already and you do our therapeutic riding instructor course as a form of CPD, just to upskill and learn something new, you might learn how to help you, definitely how to help your clients be more confident around horses, and skills like how to help them regulate their emotions when they're on the horse. So using different somatic exercises. So when we say somatic, we just mean kind of things you do with your body to help you self-regulate. Different breathing exercises, different awareness exercises, things that improve people's balance, their mobility, their dexterity. So we're kind of looking at the body and the brain as a whole and thinking about how can we make sure that people feel as physically healthy and well on the horse as they can, but also how can we make sure that they feel mentally well, relaxed, connected in the present moment. So there's a lot of different skills that I learned when I was already a riding instructor that just made me think, oh yeah, there's more to this. There's more about how, not just how the horse influences our body with his movement, but also our central nervous system and our brain and our spinal cord. So there's a lot of science-based stuff in there that's about how the brain and the body work together to regulate. And that can be used for a range of clients, whether you work with adults who struggle with confidence or who have mental health issues, or whether you work with people with disabilities, or whether you're a riding instructor who specialises in working with children and young people.
Great. And the advocacy one was the other one that that I kind of picked out on. So what kind of things, so that would be more for any individual rather than a professional rider. So what would they gain from that course?
Sure. Yeah. So we get People from lots of different backgrounds do the equine advocacy course. And it's also a module in all of our professional courses. So if you sign up for one of those, you get to do it as part and parcel of that. Really, that course is for anybody who wants to learn more about horse behaviour or to learn more about how you can be kinder and more ethical in your interactions with your own horse. So I come at that as a trained equine behaviourist. So I trained at the Natural Animal Centre in methods that are science-based, ethical, and non-intrusive and not aversive for horses. And that course is all about those methods. It's about how can we treat the horse as a partner rather than as a tool or a vehicle. How can we make sure they're as healthy and as happy as we are in all of our interactions? And maybe also, if you're a professional, thinking about how can I communicate that to my clients so that my horses have, longer, better, happier working lives in the sessions that I do.
That sounds really interesting. That sounds like something I would definitely sign up for. And I think my next question you've probably already answered to a certain extent, but so how can individuals and communities get involved to support the with horses? It kind of sounds like mostly it would be signing up to the courses that you run, whether it's online or in person. But is it just that, or are there any other ways that people can get involved?
Yeah, that's true. So the biggest thing you can do is buy one of our products, because all the profits from all of our products all go towards providing a free therapeutic riding or equine assisted learning session for a young person who is either a survivor of trauma or a care leaver. We also sell curricula, which I forgot to mention as well. So you can buy one of our books online that tell you how to actually recreate one of our successful equine assisted projects in your own setting. And it's got everything you need, from session plans to equipment lists to tips on how to train your horses and all the forms that you need, everything in there. So buy one of those and the profits will help somebody who is disadvantaged and needs access to horses. But the other thing is we're always looking for volunteers. So at the moment, through our charitable arm, the Tinnis Trust, we are providing these amazing sessions called stable moments sessions. And therefore, young people who are in care, who might move around a lot or not always have the same caregivers. And what they do is they come to us for an hour once a week. They have the same volunteer mentor and the same horse, and it is literally a stable moment in their week where everything is predictable and everything is safe. So at the moment, we are looking for people to be volunteer mentors. So if you are near our centre in the Scottish Borders, that would be a fantastic way to help us out. And if you're interested in that, just visit our website, which is thetinnistrust.org. That's the charitable arm of our company with horses.
And I was just about to touch on the kind of where in the country you are, because I was recently in Holtwhistle, which I think is not too far from you. Absolutely amazing part of the country. So can you tell us a little bit about your facility and where you are?
Yeah, so we're in Newcastleton, which is right on the border of England and Scotland. And we are at a centre it was actually a riding holiday centre before we took it on. So we have residential capacity. So a lot of our services here, including the courses, actually people can come and stay and do them. So we have an 8-bedroom house where we do bed and breakfast accommodation for people that access our services. And then we also have an arena, and we have a stable yard. We keep our horses here in an equicentral system, so they get a lot of choice, and we have tracks that go around the property where they can choose whether they want to be in or out, or where they want to be. And we're surrounded by this beautiful landscape. So we're surrounded by forestry and hills, and it's just a gorgeous place. We also do offer our courses at other places too. So twice a year I go and teach in Wales. So I've just got a course coming up in North Wales, where I'll be going in July. So I do actually go around the country as well, teaching. Not all of our services are just here in Scotland. So if you're thinking, I'd love to do a practitioner course, but I don't want to travel all that way, just have a look on the website, because every year we do at least 2 courses in Wales as well.
Oh, that's great. My next question then is, in your opinion, why is it important for society to recognise the value and accessibility of horses and the countryside?
Sure. So I think the thing is, we know that horses, they are inherently therapeutic. Like we, as horse people, we know that spending time with them can change our lives. In our society, often people who need horses the most are those who can access them the least. So, you know, teenager growing up in a council estate on the poverty line, or a kid in care, or a young woman who's just come out of a violent relationship. They need that. They need that healing and teaching power that horses have. They need that trustworthy learning partner to help them learn about positive relationships. You know, they need that non-judgmental presence. But actually, when you think about what it costs to have a riding lesson or to go for a riding holiday, it's absolutely unattainable for the people that need it the most. So actually, businesses like mine are about leveling the playing field. It's about, you know, saying that we know as horse people how important horses are and how much they can help us and heal us. And what we can do is actually share that with people who maybe are less fortunate, and it's less accessible for them. And it's life-changing. You know, we see kids who come here for residential services who they've never seen a chicken before, and they think the chickens are, you know, magical and amazing. Or, you know, the first time they see a horse sneeze or yawn, you know, they're absolutely fascinated by it. And you forget that those things are just not within some people's day-to-day experience. And so there's a quote that I love by Tarina Thomas, which is, horses bring magic to children's lives. And it's absolutely true. When you see, you know, the big differences that horses make to children who maybe have day-to-day lives that are unstable or just difficult every day, why wouldn't we share that? You know, if you could give them a little piece of that magic that we get as horse owners every day, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. There are a few of us that are very honoured to be able to have horses in our lives. However, we've managed to make that happen. And it's definitely something we should be sharing, and especially in a countryside location.
Yeah, and just knowing it's a possibility. For me, like, I think when I was young, the first time I saw a horse was at a city farm in the middle of inner city Sheffield, and it kind of opened a door for me. And I kind of thought, oh, that's a possibility. And then I did make it happen. But for these young people, like, they need to know it's actually a thing, and it is something that they can have and they can do. And I think if we can show them that, then they can build these lives that are so much more, you know, big and fulfilling.
Yeah, and I know for me as a kid, I would muck out and work at the local riding school because I couldn't afford lessons, but that's how I got them. But I'm not sure that's even that easy for people to do now.
No. And there are so few riding schools now, you know, every year so many more of them close because insurance is so expensive and the cost of horse care is so expensive. And then it's like, when you think about risk assessment and how many hoops we have to jump through for kids to be able to volunteer, like, those opportunities just aren't available the way they were for us when we were younger. So there's got to be more, there's got to be better, you know, bigger chances for kids to access horses.
Yeah, definitely. So looking ahead then, what are your future goals and aspirations?
Yeah, so we've got a bit of an exciting year coming up. So we are going to be offering more therapeutic retreats here in the Scottish Borders, including some really exciting things. So one of them is the horseplay retreat, which is where kids who have recently been adopted come with their adoptive families, and they actually take part in therapeutic riding sessions as a way of bonding. And that is a really cool thing to be part of. And we're also going to be offering an overcoming obstacles retreat, which is where women who have come out of domestic violence situations learn how to do competitive Western trail riding. So they ride over obstacles, and we look at what they can learn for actually overcoming real obstacles in their own lives. So we're going to do those two retreats for the first time. We're also going to be offering some lived experience equine assisted learning practitioner scholarships. So for people who've experienced trauma or disadvantage, they can apply to get their training as an equine assisted learning practitioner for free. Because we know that people with lived experience of disadvantage are just uniquely qualified to help people experiencing the same issues. And we're also going to be launching an approved provider scheme for our range of curricula. So we have these curricula that I've written based on the successful projects that we've run. So there's one for neat young people who aren't in education and training. There's one for young people who need to learn social skills. There's one for women with mental health issues. You can actually train to deliver that curriculum at your own centre, and you can be listed as an approved provider and you get all of the stuff that you need, including monthly top-up training and all the paperwork you need, and I train your assistants for you online. So that's a really exciting thing that's coming up in the next year, which we're really thrilled to be launching. So yeah, lots and lots of exciting things in the pipeline. And it's, a big year ahead, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you found lots of interesting ways to spread what you're doing from kind of all across the country through a network of people. So
that's our
great.
hope. Yeah, because I think sometimes in our industry there's a lot of like, well, I can do this, but I don't really want to share it with anybody else. And I really want to see, lots of good work going on at lots of centres all over the place. So yeah, that's what we're about.
Yeah, that sounds great. So is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like people to know about yourself or what you do?
I think we've talked about a lot of stuff, but I think, the main thing to get across, all that I really wanted to say is, we sell these courses, curricula, we sell consultancy, and online training, and all of our profits go to helping children and young people who really need to experience the benefits of horses. So, please just take a look at our website, buy one of our products, and just help change lives.